Hello there. So today I want to read you another excerpt from Sigard. He's talking about fruits and edible plants here. In many places, districts, islands, and parts of the country, along rivers and in the woods, there are such a great quantity of blueberries, which the Hurons call uhundage, and other small fruits to which they give the general name of kahik, that the savages dry them for winter use as we do sun-dried plums. And these are used as preserves for the sick and to give taste to their sagamite, and also to put into the small cakes that they bake in the ashes. We ate them in quantity on our journeys, and likewise strawberries, which they name dishiunte, together with certain reddish berries, as large peas, which I found very good, but I have not seen any like them in Canada or in France, nor yet several other kinds of small fruits and berries unknown here, which we ate as a delicious dish when we could find any. There are some red ones looking almost like coral, growing as it were on the ground in little clusters, with 2 or 3 leaves like laurel, lending a charming elegance, and they look like very lovely nosegays, and would do as such if there were any here. There are some of these other berries twice as big as I have just said, blackish in color, which grow in stalks a cubit high. There are also trees like the hawthorn, bearing small hard apples, as big as filberts, but not very good. There are also other red berries named toka, like our cherries, but they have neither stones nor pips. The Hurons eat them raw, and likewise put them in their little cakes. They have walnut trees likewise in several places, bearing nuts of slightly different shape than ours, and I have seen some of almost triangular shape, and the external green rind smells like turpentine, and it is sometimes difficult to tear it off from the hard shell. In some districts they also have chestnut trees which bear small chestnuts, but as for hazelnuts and sweet cherries, which for lack of cultivation and grafting are only a little larger than red currants, they are found in many places, both in the woods and in the fields, yet very little account is made of them. As to the plums, called tonestes, found in Huron country, they are like our purple or red damsons, except that they are not so good by far. The color is deceptive, and they are sharp and rough to the taste until they have been touched by frost. For this reason, the woman savages, after carefully gathering them, bury them in the earth for some weeks to sweeten them, then take them out, wipe them, and eat them. But I think that those plums, if grafted, would lose that acidity and roughness which makes them unpleasant to the taste before the frost. There are pears, thus called poires, a kind of small fruit a little bigger than peas, blackish in color and soft, very good to eat with a spoon like blueberries. They grow here on little trees which have leaves like the wild pear trees here, but the fruit is quite different. As for raspberries, wild mulberries, currants, and other like fruits that we know, they are plentiful in spots, and likewise vines and grapes, from which, in the Huron country, very good wine could be made if they knew the art of cultivating and dressing them, but for want of superior knowledge they are satisfied with eating the grapes and the fruit. The roots that we call Canadian, or potatoes of Canada, and that they call orascienta, are quite uncommon in the Huron country. They eat them raw as well as cooked, and they do likewise with another kind of root resembling parsnips, which they call santradates, and indeed much better than parsnips, but they seldom give them to us, and only when the savages had received a present from us or we paid them a visit in their lodges. They have also little onions, named anunke, which put out only 2 leaves like those of the lily of the valley. They smell of garlic as much as of onion. We use them for putting into our sagamite to give it a flavor, and also a certain small herb, which in taste and shape resembles the sweet wild marjoram, which they call ongneho. But when we had eaten some of these onions or garlic raw, as we did when we had nothing else along with a little purslain but no bread, the savages would not come near us or bear the odor of our breath, declaring that it smelt too bad, and they would spit on the ground with disgust. Yet they eat them baked in ashes when quite ripe and fully grown, but never in soup, any more than all other kinds of herbs, of which they make very little account. So, I like that little section there because, again, it reveals the humanity of the people he's talking about. It very rarely shines through in these texts, but the Hurons do not like the smell of garlic breath. They do not like the taste of raw garlic. Who does like the taste of raw garlic? It should be cooked. God intended garlic to be cooked. So I've been sort of very interested in trying to figure out what was cooking like back in the day. Because our modern day cooking, even modern traditional cooking, uses a lot of ingredients that would be foreign to this region. So, for example, our Six Nations delicacy dish, corn soup, it's got a lot of black pepper in it. Other sort of modern dishes, they've got like cinnamon or tomatoes in them, which would not have been known in this region. So I've been looking through these explorers and trying to figure out what was food like back in the day. And they are not interested in sharing recipes, by and large. Most of the time when they talk about food, it's just to complain about it. There was this one fellow, I forget who he was. He was probably one of the Jesuits. And the only thing he had to say about indigenous food was, they have over 40 different ways of preparing their Indian corn, each more repulsive than the last. That's the way that a lot of these guys talk. The most common thing I come across is just a general disgust that these Indians aren't cooking with salt. How can you not cook with salt? Salt is like the main thing you cook with. Like, something's not flavorful enough, it means to add more salt. How can they not cook with salt? Are they stupid? You occasionally encounter the same sort of thing in reverse. You encounter some indigenous guy going to Quebec and trying some French food, and it's like, oh, holy heck, this food is salty. How can you eat food this salty? Ugh. The garlic was the main thing I wanted to share, just because it tickled me. I hope it tickled you too. Thank you for listening.